Hi all, welcome to my channel, and today we are going to discuss about facade design pattern and most commonly used design patterns in the microservice world. Before that, this is the continuation of my design patterns playlist. I have already uploaded most of the design patterns. If you miss those videos, I'll put the link in description. Please go and watch and come here. And before that, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for new videos to come. Now let's talk about facade design pattern. Facade design pattern is basically making life very simpler to the clients by working hard by himself. That's basically called as facade design pattern. Let's see with example, we'll get more idea. Let's say we have a client and let's say clients wants to connect it to the bunch of services. So to access a resource, clients needs to connect it to the bunch of services, let's say 5. For now it's 5, in future it's maybe 10, 20, 30, 40. So client may be very frustrated, should I remember all these things and points? It's very frustrating for him to work on to get the data, to call service 1 and then service 2 and then service 3, service 5, service 4, whatnot. He's very frustrated. He was thinking he asked his organization, hey, I am okay to using your services, but I cannot remember all these services. I just want anything very simpler which makes my life very easy. Then the monster entered, let's say Facade. Hey, let's say client ask, hey, who are you? I'm already fed up with remembering all these services. Why you came up? Then Facade reply very smartly, don't worry man, I will do this for you, just remember me. So suddenly clients is really very happy, and client and Facades both are in love now. So basically in simple terms, Facade it acts as a gateway. Client is only required to connect it to the gateway to get the request and response. Let Facade will take care about connecting depending upon the path parameters. If you're talking about REST APIs, let's client talks to Facade. Let's Facade needs to handle all the way to how to connect it to service 1, service 2 and get the data and return back the client. So client no need to concern about how different services will work. Client will only talk about Facade and Facade will take care of that. So which is nothing but, so Facade is basically working so much hard what client needs to be do, so that client life is very easy. So that's a simple definition of Facade. Now let's see the standard definition of Facade. Facade is a behavioral design pattern that provides a simplified interface to library, a framework or other complex set of classes. It's a kind of providing a simplified interface. Here Facade is an interface. It's acting as a gateway to different clients to access the subsystems. So basically it encapsulates a complex subsystem behind a simple interface. It hides much of complexity and makes subsystems easy to use. It decouples a client implementation from the complex subsystem. That's Facade for you. So the best example of Facade is basically the gateway in the microservices. So where we as a client we directly connect to a single endpoint, and the backend gateway will basically in turn transfer the request to the different services and get back the response and show it to the client. So these all are standard definition, standard use of Facade pattern you can go through. If you want to provide a simple interface to complex subsystems often get more complex as they evolve. Most patterns when applied, the result is more and smaller classes. To make a subsystem more reusable and easy to customize, but it also becomes harder to use for clients. They don't need to customize it. So a Facade can provide a simple default view of the subsystems that is good enough for most of the clients. Only clients needs more customizable will leads to look beyond the Facade. So there are many dependencies between client and the implementation classes of abstraction. Introducing a Facade to decouple the subsystem from clients and other subsystems. So all these things is talking about a single term called acting as a gateway to clients and subsystems. Let's Facade take the hard work and clients will talk to Facade. That's nothing but a Facade design pattern. You can implement your own. I'll explain in two ways. One is without Facade and second thing is with Facade. So what example should I take? Here I will take example called conversion of compressing the file. So let's talk about like without facade. So I'm the client, I don't have any facade. So now I'm very frustrated because I was the one who needs to talk to different services like video file, and from I have a file name. First I need to talk to the video file to convert into the actual video file. Then I need to talk to the codec factory to extract the source file of the particular file. And then I'm only checking whether it is MP4 or like other codec. If it is MP4, I'm creating the new constructor called MP4. I'm creating a new object called MPEG4. If it is not, I'm creating a new constructor called OGG. Again, I'm creating the bitrate reader. Again, I'm creating the buffer reader. Again, I'm converting bitrate to file. And again, I was adding the audio mixer to the file. And finally, I'm storing in the result. So, if suppose, let's say, because of like too much, let's say at server side, it might think like, okay, let's add even more flexibility. And let's say they have introduced some extra file in between like buffer reader and file. Then what will happen? Every time client needs to rechange the code every time, like every second, every amount of time, which is very hard to the client to basically in sync with the what exactly behind happening. Like, so to overcome this, we should combine everything and expose a single function called convert the file, so that whatever enhancements, improvements, let's facade will take care, client will only talk to the facade. Now let's see the implementation with facade. So client is basically it has like only one facade called video converter facade. It is passing his file name and format. It is basically, now that facade is basically converting and returning back the file. See what not improvements happening at the back end. At the client side, it's still same code is not even changing. At facade side, the video converter facade will basically work. So it will take all the hard work and it will return the simple result to the client. So the client will becomes very happy, like, so that someone is taking the hard work. Of course, someone will happy, right? Like so. So I think the example is like not at all important. The idea is basically important. For you to understand purpose, I will explain the example. Now let's execute like a facade client, which is like without facade. So ultimately, even though executing with facade or without facade, the code is exactly works as expected. So now you are passing the file name called lastmove.ogg. It is converted into the OGG file is converted into MP4 file. So we have a video file. And video file will take string. You can go through the code because code is not important. The idea here is like how facade is solving the client problem. Like here video file we are passing into the code factory.extract. This is like static file which will basically take the file codec file of OGG, and it will basically it has like source codec, and the source codec we are passing the format of MP4. It will create the MPG for destination codec and the destination codec, and we have a file name, right, and we have source code. With the help of we are reading the data. Once we are reading the data, we are basically converting a buffer into the destination codec through bitrate reader, and we are mixing the audio and finally storing the result into the result_file.mp4. So same thing, exact same operations happening at like at a video converter facade also. The only difference here is like the client code is not changing, even though backend how many improvements will come. So that's the ultimate example of facade. You can have many examples of facade, like say gateway is the best example of facade, and these kind of conversions are best example of facade. And if you have 100 subsystems, if you want to expose a single API where it will talk to 100 subsystems and return to the simple response to the client, and clients will only talk to that particular gateway. That's basically called as facade. So I think that's it for today's tutorial about facade design pattern, and this is also very easy design pattern, and people often confused about like comparing with other design patterns. So I'll anyway complete code is basically in the GitHub. You can download and you can play around this code. In the next video I'll talk about like flyway design pattern. So My humble request is like, please like and subscribe to my channel and share to your friends who are learning design patterns. It will helpful for them also. We'll soon meet in the next video. For now, bye bye.